Leroy Rosenior is my guest this evening, and we are talking championship now because Southampton stand on the shoulder of greatness this weekend. They play Coventry, relegated Coventry, and if they can beat Coventry, it's as simple as that, they will go into the Premier League. And I tell you what, there will be some fascinated, excited, basically over the moon football fans down on the south coast, but so too will there be in the East End of London if Southampton fail and West Ham, your former club, were to go on and win against Hull and take their place in the Premier League after an absence of just 1 year. Which way? It looks fairly straightforward. Southampton should beat Coventry on form. They're relegated, but at the same time, being relegated, maybe, just maybe, Coventry may well say, well, look, we can play with a freedom, there's no pressure on us, and maybe Southampton might have a bit of stage fright. Well,
Coventry have been competitive towards the end of this season, and Southampton are going through a very sticky period. They lost to Reading. They lost to Middlesbrough after taking the lead, and all of a sudden West Ham have just cranked up the pressure. I don't think a lot of people expected West Ham to go to Leicester and get the result, which they did. They drew. I think they drew at Bristol City, which really, I mean, didn't really make that much of a difference. But it's interesting. Sam said, "Look, we just got to do what we've got to do now. If they go and win 3 or 4-0." And Southampton draw, then the goal difference comes into it, because there's a 3 difference goal difference between the two sides. But Southampton are feeling the pressure, and with 32,750 at Southampton, that is going to, I think it's just going to crank it up. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it. But they haven't played as well as they have previously this season.
Yeah, they lost in their last game to Middlesbrough when many people expected them to win, particularly when they took the lead against Middlesbrough after, what, 2 or 3 minutes?
2 or 3 minutes, yeah. And it transpires that really the point would have been enough you know, to see them through. It hasn't. And all of a sudden, West Ham take it to the last day, which nobody expected. And Sam, you know, the wily old fox that is got in front of the cameras and said, well, we can just do what we need to do. The pressure's on Southampton. We'll go and win as big as we can. And that's it. But there's pressure on West Ham to perform at home, as there has been all season, because they've been so much more comfortable away from home.
Absolutely. Now, we've got not one but 2 guests to talk about this on our Skype wall. Sean, with his big smile and his beautiful baby behind him, is waiting to speak to us. And on our Skype phone, we have Simon Carter, who is a sports editor of the Southampton Daily Echo. So we're going to go with Simon Carter first. Because, Simon, it's been an up-and-down season for you guys. Nicola Cortese banned your newspaper, as I understand it, for a short time from the St Mary's Stadium. Obviously, very difficult time last summer when you sold Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, but it's all come right just at the right time. Could this yet be a happy ending? He is still there. We've lost him for a second. We'll get him back for you. We'll get him to answer that question if I can remember what it was. Yeah.
That leaves you.
In the meantime, Sean, fill in for us.
Should have gone to him first. I
should have gone to him
first.
Sean, Hull, discuss.
Well, you know, the pressure, like Leroy said, you know, the pressure's on Southampton. It's theirs to lose, not ours to win. The pressure's not on us. We've got a sell-out crowd. We've got a very slim chance. We're prepared for the playoffs, and I'm sure we'll do really well. We want to keep our momentum up. We're not worried about what Southampton are going to do. You know, as you said, they could bottle it, but also you've got to look at, you know, the pressure's off Coventry. But also, there's a lot of players there that will be looking for new contracts, and a few of them might want to be doing a bit of showboating and proving themselves, because it's televised as well, and that's another big thing. Yeah. You know, Southampton always do appallingly when it's televised, so that's added pressure as well. And I just see a lot of Coventry people thinking we need a new contract, we don't want to go down a division, and you never know. It's a funny old game. Look at it. You know, who would think that Barcelona would lose to Chelsea?
Absolutely,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Bayern Munich. You know, it's a week of these things, so you never know. You know, it was really exciting Saturday. We'll all be there. We'll have one ear listening to the radio, the Southampton game, and obviously watching the game at the Boleyn.
Now, Simon Carter, we're hoping, is back on the phone waiting to speak to us. Simon, good evening.
Evening, how are you doing?
Hi, Simon.
Money in the meter?
Yeah, not right. You see the state of newspaper finances these days?
Now, I was saying earlier that you've had a tempestuous season, but it all looks to have come right, and it could well be a happy ending if you can beat Coventry at the weekend.
Well, it certainly should be a happy ending, shouldn't it? If you were neutral looking at this game, analysing it, looking at Saints' strengths, looking at Coventry's weaknesses, you can only come to one conclusion, can't you?
Is there a danger, perhaps, of complacency with Coventry having been relegated and with the club in so much financial turmoil, all sorts of problems behind the scenes?
Possibly. But I think if Saints were cherry-picking any team to play from the Championship, you did probably have picked Coventry ahead of even Doncaster. To be honest, even though Doncaster at bottom, they obviously went to Coventry last week when Coventry had something to play for, and still beat them. So you look at Saints with their home record and their arsenal of strikers, Ricky Lambert, Billy Sharp, both in form, and you look at Coventry, you look at their squad, and I mean, with the greatest of respect, it's not a great squad. There's not a handful of good players. You've just been surrounded by bad players, so to speak. You look through the squad, it's very young. In areas, it's incredibly inexperienced. They've obviously got the worst away record in the Football League, not just the Championship, the entire league. Stats don't mean everything, obviously, but they contribute a lot. And obviously they explain why Coventry are right down the bottom and have been relegated. And look at the amount of goals Southampton have scored at home. I think they've scored more at home than anybody else in the Championship. Yes, those have been in different circumstances, i.e. they haven't needed a win to go back to the Premier League. But I just cannot see Coventry avoiding defeat at St Mary's.
I'm hearing the phrase "famous last words." I don't know why.
He did. He set himself up beautifully there, Simon. But Simon, let me just analyse this. A few weeks ago, you'd have said that Southampton would have won the title. There's absolutely no doubt. They've been in the top two all season. They look like runaway leaders. They've looked the best side in terms of footballing terms for a long time. Then all of a sudden, Reading turn up, they spoil that party, and then Middlesbrough turn up, and they spoil that party. And it's just interesting because, you know, I've heard a lot about the owner. Is it Cortese?
Yes.
He's made, I don't know how I can put it, he seems to have made a lot of enemies. In Southampton isn't I suppose the family club now. It's very difficult to get any access from a lot of people, and so
including ex-players.
So it doesn't seem like everybody's rooting for Southampton at the moment because of that. So it just seems that everything is playing against them, being top to now being second, and now just needing a win to go up. So don't you think that you know, even though Coventry have got a young side, they're relegated, aren't you just a little bit concerned?
You would have thought, I mean, I'm not a Southampton fan. I'm not from the area. I happen to work for the local Southampton paper, so obviously I'm winning them on, but I'm not a Southampton fan as such. So I can kind of look at this from a neutral pair of eyes. If I was a lifelong Saints fan, I'd probably be looking at it thinking, Christ, we're a club that always does things the hard way. That's what people tell me. And as you say, I mean, 1 month ago today, Saints were 9 points ahead of West Ham. With a superior goal difference of plus 16. So virtually they were 10 points clear of West Ham a month ago today. And now look at it. So if you're a Saints fan, you're looking at the fixture list and thinking, that's a pretty nice fixture list. I'd prefer to play Coventry at home than Hull at home.
Right.
But at the same token, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, Christ, we were 10 points clear of this lot.
Now,
4 weeks ago, and now it's gone down to the last day.
Now, Simon, we've got Sean here. Sean's a West Ham fan. Sean, talk to Simon.
Yeah, well, I heard he's not a Saints fan. I work with a Saints fan, and I tell you, they're really worried about it. You know, in fact, the chap I know who used to be a season ticket holder, he won't even talk to me about it. He refuses to talk to me. He said, I'm not talking. I keep on saying, oh, you got this one in the bag, you got promoted, you deserve it. He won't talk to me about it. I can tell you that Saints fans are nervous. You know, it's a funny old game. You say, we've seen things this week. I'm not counting my chickens, right? I want to beat Hull. Yeah. I would like a good score. You know, we've had some good results. 6-0 against Brighton and 4-0 against Blackpool. And, you know, it's been fun in the Championship. It wouldn't be the end of the world if we were in the Championship next year. I've enjoyed it.
Sean, who's the pressure on?
The pressure's on Southampton. It's not on us. It's so remote that we're going to go up automatic.
Is that right, Simon?
The pressure's on both teams in fairness, but it's a different kind of pressure. I mean, obviously, if you'd asked Southampton back in August where they expected to finish, most fans would have said probably higher mid-table, probably taken playoffs if you'd offered it to them, automatic promotion. Wouldn't have thought, many people would have thought that. West Ham, totally different scenario. Obviously, just relegated from the Premiership. Lots of Premier League players, bigger wage bill than Southampton. So there's been pressure on West Ham all season with the experienced, big-name manager. But now you've got to this stage, there's obviously pressure still on West Ham with their financial position. But there's pressure on Saints, of course there is. They've been top two for 45 games of the 46 that season. For them not to go up would be one of the biggest chokes in football history.
Exactly, Simon, I agree. But I do think there's pressure on both sides, Sean, because I think that if Southampton do get the result, it's important that West Ham win at home to go into the playoffs with a positive attitude, because there's been real negativity around the bowling, you know, from some of the... That's Sean. You know it, and I know it. Their away performance has been as good as any.
Go for fun on Saturday.
But I think what Sam doesn't want is the fans to go away on Saturday disappointed if they are in the playoffs. They need to go, because the West Ham fans are unbelievable.
Well, let me ask you this, Leroy, because Sean says no pressure. Simon says pressure on both teams. If Southampton don't win on Saturday, having been 9 points clear, as he says, could they be in the playoffs with their morale quite low, a club like Birmingham, for example, on a real high, and not go up altogether, lose out in the playoffs?
Of course they could. But if you said to me, where would I rather be? I'd rather be in Southampton's shoes right now.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah, I think if they don't get in, then, you know, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to go through the players. But whose shoes would I rather be in now? Southampton's, because they've got good players. They've got some of the best players in that division. And you know what? Against Coventry, on paper, it all adds up to
right,
getting
quick questions to all three of you before we go to a break. Simon, if you don't go up, will Nicola Cortese stick with Nigel Adkins?
That's a very good question. If they don't finish in the top two, Nicola Cortese would be absolutely furious, I'd have thought. And then, as you say, I mean, it's going into the playoffs. I mean, you wouldn't hold that much hope for Saints, really. Obviously, the morale must be dented, or would certainly be dented, given the end of the season they've had.
Yes.
As you say, one of the bigger chokes. And sides like Birmingham, Blackpool, they appear in form. Same with West Ham. If West Ham end up in third place, you look at someone like Blackpool, you think Blackpool are a good side. West Ham's away form is phenomenal. West Ham's home form, I think they've only won once at home since early February.
So Cortese,
that was a 6-0 against Brighton.
So Adkins should be worried if he doesn't get automatic promotion.
I think he probably should be, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's got them in a phenomenal position. I'd say 10 points clear with a month to go of the season. 5 points to go with 5 days left of the season.
Well, let's ask Sean the same question about Sam Allardyce. If he doesn't win, or if he doesn't go up, either automatically or through the playoffs, will he be there next year?
Yeah, he's got a 2-year contract.
Yes, but will he see it out?
He will see it out, you know, unless he gets offered the England job.
He's a joker, that Sean.
Sean, we like you. You can come back on this show, Sean. We like you. He's a real cheeky chappy.
Right, but you know, he was a bit unlucky. All right, not everybody's cup of tea, but you know what? Vaz-Tay, a fit Vaz-Tay, a Baldock, a Maynard from the start of the season, next year we'd smash this division. We really would. And
careful with that phrase.
Go up as champions.
All right, chaps. Simon, Sean, thank you very much indeed. Hopefully we'll talk to one of you or even both of you at the weekend. I'm going to West Ham, so I might see you there.
Thanks. Yeah, all right. See you there.
Take care. Who's under most pressure? Very quickly for you.
I think Nigel Adkins is under most pressure because it's his to lose, as Simon says. You know, it is. And Southampton, they're not only talking about them, they've got to go in the Premier League. The investment of that club into their academy is immense. The money that's going into that academy system and where they want to be in 2015 is unbelievable. So they've got to go up this year. So there is great pressure on that.
A huge day of action in the Championship in prospect. Chris Cohen, Mike Parry, all the chaps will be here to take you through it. They all kick off at 12:30 on Saturday lunchtime.